Hello, hello. So I am trying to see. Here we go. All right. So I want to welcome you to this site. Thank you for visiting. This site is called Take What Rings True. So the whole idea is I share spiritual thoughts, and if you believe them, fine. If you don't, let them go. Find your own truth. That's my belief. So today, I want to talk about guilt. Now, in our society, guilt is important. Society tells us that we should hold guilt. We should feel guilty. Well, a lot of times we don't need to feel guilty. So I want to talk about that today. Make sure the sound is up. Okay. So some of this information is from trance classes where my mentor, Sylvia Brown, who's a psychic, would go sit on a bench on the other side, and her spirit guide, in this case, Francine, would come in to her body and use her body for about an hour and talk about life, about the other side, about how to get through life. So we each need to find our own truth and our own knowledge. That's my belief. So don't allow other people to tell you that you should feel guilty. You know, the ever famous mother's guilt, your mom or your grandmother makes you feel guilty because you're not doing what she wants you to do. I remember my grandmother invited me to dinner before a class that I was taking about 3 blocks away from her house. So she said that I should come to dinner at such and such a time. And then the day that I was supposed to take the class, there was a warning on TV because I lived about 10 miles away in another city. There was a warning not to be on the road. The roads were flooding. There was a horrible storm. Do not leave your house. So I called my grandmother and said I was not coming. And she tried to make me feel guilty about not coming. She'd already cooked. I should come. There's no reason I can't come. And I explained, we just gotten a warning on our phone, a warning on the television. The roads were flooding. I didn't want my car to stop in the middle of a flooded road. And I was still made to feel guilty for not coming because she had cooked dinner. So I knew enough at that point in time not to feel guilty because I didn't want my car stuck in the middle of a road. So often, other people want to make you feel guilty to try to control what you do. And often it's their opinion about what you should do in your life. So when people want you to do something, take some time to reflect. Is that something you want to do? Is it something for the higher good? Or is it just something that they want you to do because that's what they want? They want to control you. So I believe that we often need to stop and reflect. It's like, is this something that's true for me? Is this something that's good for me? Or is this just someone else telling me what to do? So you can love your family. Now, some families do not deserve your love, some do not. So, but we're talking about you can love your family if they're lovable and not do everything they want you to do. I know my cousin was a pilot when he was in World War II. Actually, he was a pilot in my city. There was an airport in my city, and there uh, were a lot of people who were stationed here in my city. And he loved being a pilot. But his mom and dad did not want him to be a pilot. They wanted him to have a career of teaching. So he followed what they wanted him to do. He went back to school on the Army, whatever it is, or Navy. I don't remember what service he was in. It was a different generation than my generation. So he went back to school and became a teacher and a principal. And he was okay with that, but he would have much rather been a pilot. So to me, I always felt kind of sad that he didn't follow through with what he wanted and instead did what his mom, who was a teacher, and his dad, who worked in business, wanted him to do. So you can love your family and you can still not do what they want you to do. Some people and groups and even religions want to control you by using guilt to have you do what they want you to do. I think it was the year 326 AD that Constantine, Emperor Constantine, held a meeting and gathered all the spiritual people of the time. And that's when they started deciding which books would be in the Bible and which ones would not be in the collection now called the Bible, and decided whether Jesus was divine or not. They voted on it. Is Jesus divine or not? And the reason Constantine seems to have wanted this is because he wanted to control the people. So he wanted to have a philosophy, a church philosophy that would keep his people that he was the ruler of in line with what he wanted and not have trouble. So he had more than one council that met. This was the Council of Nicaea. So you can look that up. Anyway, that's when I think of all this starting with the guilt thing, because if you feel guilty, you're more likely to fall in line with what somebody else wants you to do. So my belief is you should stop and think and decide, is this my truth? Is it for the greater good? Is it something I want to do, or is someone else trying to tell me what they want me to do to control me? When you think of guilt, it's usually tied to fear of a person, fear of people, or fear of repercussions. If you focus on fear and guilt, it can create chaos in your life. Actually, it can create chaos in countries and cause wars. That's what Francine said, the spirit guide who would come in and teach us during trance classes. So whenever you're feeling guilty, I suggest you stop and think, okay, why am I feeling guilty? Did I intentionally do something to someone or cause something to happen? And if you look at the situation, maybe you need to rectify something. Maybe you accidentally caused someone pain or hurt them in some way, and you can do something to help rectify it. And if you've done that, stop feeling guilty. If it was not your intent, if you were not motivated to do that. Now, if you stole someone's money from the bank, well, then maybe you should feel guilty. And that was probably premeditated that you stole that. Well, then that's a reason for guilt. But most of the rest of the guilt we feel is not warranted. It's we're trained sort of to feel guilty. I remember one time Francine said, they don't know the other side, spirits on the other side, do not know why we feel so guilty all the time, because there is no guilt on the other side. You don't feel guilt on the other side. But it seems like when we come into life, it's like what's called morphic resonance. Like you felt guilty in a past life, so therefore you bring that guilt back. It's a resonance within you. So we can bring things to this life that are related to other lives. Now, you may not believe in past lives, and that's fine. But it may be from when you were a little kid. I know I had one client. I do hypnosis, so I had one client. She did a regression, and she went back to the day she was born. And that day she was born, in the incubator, she can hear her dad saying that all the problems in the family are this new baby's fault. So she was carrying guilt from the moment she was born. She gathered up this guilt and was told over and over and over again, All the family's problems were because of her. Now, should she have felt guilty? No. And when she was older, when we were talked about it, during the hypnosis session, she knew she shouldn't hold that guilt intellectually, but emotionally, she was keeping it and it was making her ill. It was making her ill enough to have to take disability and leave work. Now, that's sad that you would feel so guilty, and the guilt is not really yours, that it makes you sick. So that's why I suggest, if you're feeling guilty, stop and think, did I intend to do something? Did I intend to hurt someone? Did I intend to cause a situation? If you didn't, then stop the guilt. If you can do something to rectify the situation, go ahead and do it. But don't feel guilty about something that you did not intend to do. So, Francine, the spirit guide again, suggested that when you lay down at night, ask that all the accumulated past life memories that you're not needing, that have maybe flooded you, because when you come into life, past life memories can flood you and you don't even know it. It's like they're waiting for you to come back, and when you come back, it floods you. I'm going to backtrack for a minute. So I've talked about this before. Francine was a spirit guide. She had lived a life in Aztec Inca times. And when the conquistadors came, they had grabbed her daughter. And of course, she didn't want her daughter to be hurt. So she went out and tried to rescue her daughter, and she was speared. So she died from that spear wound. And every time she came into Sylvia's body, she would immediately feel the spear. That's morphic resonance, that's cell memory. And for some reason, when we come back into life, I know some don't believe in past lives, and that's okay. But when Francine would come into Sylvia's body, she would wear or have a pillow in front of her to sort of dampen the effect of feeling the spear. And then she could make it go away. But as soon as she came in, immediately, that's what she would feel. So that's the kind of thing that can come to you. Now, can you imagine if you were Francine and came into life, and then you would feel this pain in your stomach all the time? And of course, doctors wouldn't know what was causing it. It was psychosomatic, is that the word? Whatever. She's just making it up. No, she's not making it up. It's a memory that she was holding. And sometimes when you have aches, pains that cannot be explained, they can be explained by a past life or by a regression. Maybe something happened when you were 2, or something happened when you were a baby. And a hypnotist like me can take you back in regression to that point in time, make the realization, okay, you were stabbed in a past life, fine. Been there, done that. Don't need to hold on to that energy anymore. And then a hypnotist can help you let go of that energy, which I think is a good thing. So, all right. So Francine suggested another way besides hypnosis. When you lie down at night, ask that the accumulated past life memories that are not doing you any good be put in garbage bags. Think of a garbage bag. Just load it all in. You don't have to name them. Just throw them out. Think of just like going through your body and taking out any unneeded thoughts, any unneeded pains, any unneeded guilts that you have from past lives, named or unnamed, and put them into the garbage bag. When you do this, you unclutter yourself. And she suggested saying, all of the negative past like morphic resonances that I have carried over to this life are released. Now, you don't have to use her exact words, just the essence of that. Like you're letting go of those past life memories. Don't need to keep them anymore. So if you created a pain for someone, you can say, okay, I can keep the memory of that, but I need to let go of the guilt attached to that situation or that pain. Let it go. Been there, done that. You can't go back and change it. So stop feeling guilty about it. Rectify it if you need to, and then let it go. It's an experience in life. It's okay. Only God is perfect. So stop trying to be perfect when we're not. And it's okay. What is it? Christ fell 7 times a day and you get back up. It's okay. So we don't have to keep guilt. And guilt makes you feel sick. Guilt makes you feel bad about yourself. So stop that. If you look up the etymology, the history of the word guilt, it means an infringement or an oppression on the soul, usually given to the soul. So this only happens when we're in a lifetime. We don't feel guilt on the other side. In heaven, you don't feel guilt. So we come into life to advance, to perfect, to learn, to gain knowledge, and then we stack on the guilt. So if you're having trouble letting go of the guilt, contact me or another hypnotist who's familiar with how to do this. And we'll be glad to help you. I have a whole network of people. And I do stuff online. A lot of the other hypnotists do stuff online. I do energy. I can see inside your body and see where you're storing it and help you get rid of it that way. I can even access people's past lives when there's something holding you back, because I'm a psychic energy healer. But you can do it for yourself. Do it for yourself. When you're going to sleep, just before you go to sleep, reflect on that. Say you want all those memories to go. You don't need to hold on to the stuff that you're holding on to from this life or from any life. So, if you did not mean to hurt someone, if you didn't set out and be motivated and intending to to hurt someone, then let the guilt go. Rectify anything that needs to be rectified and then let it go. Sometimes, I remember I was teaching 6th grade. I had a horrendous headache. And I announced to my kids, I have a horrible headache right now, so it would not be a good time to misbehave, because I didn't want my students to feel guilty if I reacted badly towards them and then they feel it was their fault when really it was me being grouchy for hurting. So our society suggests if something goes wrong, we should feel guilty. Stop. Rahim, a different spirit guide, a master teacher who would come in and teach us during trance classes, suggested that we use a symbol. So he suggested wearing a rubber band. I have a sort of rubber band, and snapping it. So when you think something that's not your truth, or you want to say, stop, no, negate that, then you snap the rubber band. Or another thing he suggested is think of an audio in your forehead, like think of a CD, okay? And you're playing this. I'm guilty because I did this. I'm guilty because I said this. I'm guilty, whatever it is. Eject it. Think of physically ejecting that loop that's playing in your head, or that feeling of feeling guilty. You could just touch your forehead when you're feeling that. People don't have to know what that means. You touch your forehead, it's like, eject that audio, not my truth. I'm not going to hold on to that guilt. So that's 2 ways you can do that. So putting something like those elastic, different kinds of elastic bracelets that people wear. You can use those, or a rubber band, or just eject. Or you could even just tap your wrist. It's like, I'm letting go of that truth, whatever. I'm letting go of that false truth. I'm letting go of those thoughts. I'm not going to feel guilty about that. So when you start feeling guilty, please stop for a moment and think, should I have any guilt over this? Did I intend to do something? Did I intend to push somebody down the stairs? Did I intend um, to create a domino effect at work because I said something that somebody misunderstood? Don't feel guilty about that. Rectify anything you can, and then let go of the guilt. So, if you have someone in your family that's behaving badly, or a friend, or maybe they're addicted to something, alcohol, drugs, or maybe you have a child and you're taking on the responsibility for them behaving badly all the time, stop feeling the guilt. If you're a mom or a dad and you are doing everything you can to be a good model and your kid acts atrociously, then you can say, I do not appreciate you acting like that. You are such a good person. You don't need to do that. Please don't do that again, or whatever you say. But stop feeling guilty for someone else's actions. Your mom becomes an alcoholic, so you feel guilty? No, it's not you. Your best friend becomes a drug addict? You should not feel guilty. You can put in place opportunities for them to get help, but don't feel guilty because they are reacting some way. They are acting some way. Stop holding that guilt. Society says if something goes wrong, we should feel guilty. Stop that. And especially don't let those feelings spin. So you feel guilty about something, you replay that and replay that and replay that. And that thinking is keeping you in the past, so you're not moving forward. It's also drawing to you what you don't want. So you're thinking, oh, I'm a bad person. Oh, I'm not a good mom. Oh, I'm not a good dad. Oh, I'm an awful worker, whatever it is, over and over and over again. And then what do you draw to yourself? Someone saying, oh, you're not a good worker. Oh, you don't know what you're doing. Because that's what you're putting out into the universe. You're putting out all the thoughts that you don't want to come back to you, but you're putting them out there so it comes back to you. Don't do that. You're making yourself miserable by making yourself miserable. Don't hold all that guilt. Don't give your power or your will to some other person or group. Stop and decide for yourself. Reflect and take a different path. Or maybe they want you not to follow the path you're on. Like my cousin, who wanted to be an airline pilot, and that was the path he wanted to follow, but his relatives, his parents, wanted him to follow a different path. So you need to stop and decide, okay, is this the path I want to take? This person wants me to take this path. Should I take it or not? They think I should feel guilty. Should I feel guilty? Did I intend for something to happen? Or did I intend to do something? If you didn't, let go of the guilt. Intention is the whole thing. If you didn't mean to be mean to someone, or they interpret it as being mean, sometimes you'll say something, especially on social media. You say something and people think the intent is total disapproval. And so they apologize or they attack you. It's like, no, that was not my intent. So, no, guilt can make you feel less than. Guilt can make you sick. So stop feeling that way. Let go. Let go of the guilt you're carrying. Ask your personal angel, ask your personal spirit guide to help you let go of the guilt you're carrying. Try to reflect at the end of the day and let go of that stuff. Put all the guilt and the pains in a garbage bag and have the angel take it away. Not needed anymore. Any unneeded feelings, any unneeded emotions, any morphic resonance, which is just the morphic resonance is uh, the resonance of what happened before that's triggered in some way. So the morphic resonance of the spear entering Francine is a specific incident that would just flood her body. So any morphic resonance, put it in the garbage bag. Any known or unknown guilt, put it in the garbage bag. Don't keep it. If you're having trouble letting go, ask God to help you remove it. Ask your spirit guide. Ask a loving master teacher that you connect with on the other side. Not the hiccups, sorry. So let go of the unneeded guilt. You don't need to hold guilt. And even if you are guilty about something, okay, so you drain somebody's bank account. Well, then you could spend some time in jail and then you get out. Well, when you get out, that's supposed to be you served your time. You accomplished whatever you did while you were in jail, and it's time to renew yourself. You've served the punishment. Stop feeling guilty. As soon as you have been sentenced to 5 years in jail, 20 years in jail, whatever it is, then you've assigned a punishment. Stop feeling the guilt. You can feel remorse and do recompense. Is that the word? You can try and make up for it or pay people back. But feeling guilty for the rest of your life is not helping you. It's not helping them. I mean, if you pay them back, well, then you paid them back. They may feel sad that you did not steal from them, but don't hold on the guilt to guilt forever and ever and ever. And 99% of the time, people do not need to feel guilty at all because their intention was not to hurt someone. Your intention is not to make someone feel bad. Your intention is not to cause someone pain. So if you did not intend to hurt anyone or cause a situation or create pain, then stop feeling guilty. Remember, only God is perfect. God doesn't expect us to be perfect. He knows that we make mistakes. And that's okay. He gives us many opportunities to try that lesson again. You didn't understand what was going on. You didn't, for me, mine was part of it was being with the same yucky person in many, many lifetimes who would pull the rug out from under me and treat me rudely and not be a good person toward me. And it took me until this lifetime to say, I don't need to be with this person. He came with a flowering face and just was so charming when I first met him. And then I was engaged to him and he cut me off from all my friends and kept me away from people. That was not a good thing. And finally I figured out I don't have to stay with him. I don't have to be with him. I do not have to marry him. And so I disconnected from him. And that was a good thing. And I didn't have to feel guilty about it. But I wish I had figured it out a long time ago, but that's okay. I did figure it out. Pat myself on the back. All right. Figured it out. God gives us many, many times to figure stuff out. And sometimes it takes numerous times. Often it takes me at least 3 times. Somebody can walk up and tell me something that's a message from God or from the universe, and I don't pay attention. Then they have to come, somebody else comes and tells me again, gives me a message. Somebody else comes and tells me again. It's like, oh, finally, I remember I heard that a couple other times, but I didn't pay attention. No, I didn't pay attention. So, and I don't need to feel guilty about it. It's like I finally got the message, but I know it takes me more than once. It's okay. It takes me more than once. Now, if there's a loving God, then God does not make anything evil. Life makes things evil. And this planet has a lot of negativity. And part of that negativity is institutions, groups, people want to make you feel guilty. And we don't need to feel guilty. Stop it. Eject that audio or eject that feeling. Not my truth. Let go of it. Reflect before you go to sleep and gather up all that negativity, put it in a garbage bag, and ask your personal angel to take it away. Maybe you need 3 garbage bags. Great. You can have as many garbage bags as you want. Fill it up with all those pains, all those unneeded emotions, and especially the guilt. Let it go. Been there, done that. You did not intend to harm anyone, to hurt anyone, to do anything that would create sadness or hurt. Let it go. Intent, intent, intent. So much of the guilt we hold, we should not hold it all because our intent was good, but we hold the guilt anyway. Stop it. So, thank you for visiting with me today. Thank you for listening. And you can go to YouTube and watch the audio video again, and you can watch the other ones that are on YouTube at Take What Rings True. If you need help letting the stuff go, letting the guilt go, then contact me. You can message me or make a comment in comments. So, thank you. Bye. Okay, I can't find the off. Here we go.